November if lawmakers approve.
Good morning. It's 6:03. Robert and Erin, 1017 FM and 710 Keel, looking very dapper. It's a compliment.
Okay.
And you know what? You don't smell bad either.
Oh, not bad. Okay.
No, not bad.
Usually I do.
Usually I wear too much. Erin has local news. It's coming up next.
Could have some good news with regard to jobs. Got a little bad news about the duck pond and what's going on with Cyport and the debt.
Odd you mentioned that. We have an amazing guest list this morning. Ms. M runs that down in just a couple of seconds. And we, of course, need to talk a little bit more about sports betting possibly being legalized in Louisiana. And the guy that you'll have on, I think, in an upcoming newscast makes my case why it's a horrible idea. Plus Fletcher and sports and traffic and weather, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
Trump administration officials say they're crafting a new legislative package aimed at closing immigration loopholes. The madness is over. The Villanova Wildcats topped the Michigan Wolverines last night 79-62, picking up a second national championship title in 3 seasons. The Wildcats head coach Jay Wright explains the importance of being part of a Villanova community.
When you come to Villanova, you come because you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. Villanova is about community. It's not about the individual. So if they come there, they kind of already know, and we're really fortunate to get really good kids that they want to play team basketball.
Dante DiVincenzo was named the game's MVP. He had 31 points off the bench. Dallas police have recovered 4 guitars stolen from Nils Lofgren, the longtime member of the E Street Band. The guitars were stolen before a show. Dallas police tweeting they've also made an arrest, but didn't provide any further details. I'm Erin McCarty on 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
In terms of rolling out, I stated very clearly we're not going to ask the commission for a $2 million loan. With that being said, all options are on the table. If someone gives us a gift, that's great. Someone makes
But
the gaming markets with the sports wagering.
Trump administration of November if lawmakers approve. Trump administration officials say they're crafting a new legislative. This is over Villanova community.
When you come to Villanova,
a little of both. I don't want to misrepresent this and say that all is grand and a little of both. I don't want to
1017 FM, 710 Keel. Good morning. It's traffic update time. Starting us off, here's Ruben.
Traffic down. Let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them.
Good morning. It's 12 past 6 o'clock, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty. Yay.
Woohoo!
We've got a guest list today, kid.
Yeah. I'm not sure how we're going to do all this.
I think probably since they're not all at the same time, unless you have done what you oftentimes do and booked them all at the same time.
Could be.
So at 6:40 this morning, State Representative Raymond Cruz. At 7:10, nobody.
Well, yeah, kind of wiggling.
But somewhere between 7:10 and when he gets here is United States Senator Bill Cassidy.
Yes, I'm
At
excited
8
about it.
At 8:10 this morning is County Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
he's fired up.
Why? Tell me why. I saw the emails. I read a lot of the emails. You sent me another new email this morning. Why is Commissioner Jackson wanting to come visit?
He says that some of the things we've been told about Cyport are not fully accurate.
Let's be a little more specific. Is what he is saying, is he saying to you yesterday in talking about coming on later today, did he sort of imply, did he come out and say that some of the statements made by Cyport head, what you digging for?
My cell phone to read you the text, but I left it in the car. I'll go get it.
Your cell phone's in the car?
Yeah.
How have you been able to? It's like being off your iron lung.
I know.
It's like you have
I know.
We've pulled the dialysis plug.
Yeah.
So basically, what Mr. Stephen is saying is that some of the things said yesterday by Cyport Board of Directors boss Rich Lamb are at variance with
what he's hearing from some other board members.
Really?
He says unequivocally, and he has proof, Cyport board members asked for a $2 million loan.
Well, here's the deal. We had Mr. Rich in yesterday, Rich Lamb, and starting off, we'll play a little bit of it here. First question was, so the current situation at Cyport, is it horrible? Is it there's a light at the end of the tunnel? Is it a little bit of both?
A little of both. I don't want to misrepresent this and say that all is grand and we're in the clear on anything. That's certainly not the case. What we've been doing is making small strides, not only in reopening Cyport, but identifying what happened and getting that answer correct.
So what happened?
What happened? Yeah.
So what happened is first of all, Soport, a little history, you have to understand the history. It started out really in the late 80s, early 90s with a traveling cart, essentially, went to schools and malls. That then grew to a facility at the old Santa Maria building. My birthday party in the 5th grade was there.
Yeah.
Then in 1998, a $21 million facility was constructed with the help of the city of Shreveport and the state of Louisiana and some large local and non-local donors. The facility today is about 92,000 square feet, a specialized facility. Over a period of time, as y'all cited last week, Soport had a payroll of over $2 million a year.
So that rumor, if you will, is legitimate. That's fact.
That is a fact. And you can see that if you go online to the state legislative audits, it has that information. And so one thing we've been doing is going back and looking how long that lasted and how is it able to sustain itself.
Now, pardon me, you had first became a member of the Soport board in what, January of 2015?
That's correct.
At that point, what access did you have to the records, to the fact that you guys are spending $2 million plus a year in salaries, and did anybody go, that's an awful lot?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know, we were given information, some of it accurate, some of it I don't believe is accurate. I can't say that it was intentional, but at the same time, we were always given consultant reports. A common practice for nonprofits is to get a grant to cover a consulting report. And one of the ones that quickly came out.
So pardon me, so there was sort of another layer of bureaucracy between the actual people, the people who were actually running Soport, and you and the other board members.
That's correct. There's an outside source which you believe you rely on. I would analogize it to this. Each election, let's say take a presidential election, the Democrats are going to have the Brookings Institute come out with some data that supports what they say. The Republicans are going to have something from the Heritage Foundation or something similar supporting what they say. So you can see where third-party reports can have conflicting information.
Sure.
That'll make them stupid people.
But I assume that was just an added, not to get way off track, but that's just another added cost, right? I mean,
it was paid for by somebody else.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the thing. That if we would have paid for it, it could have been very self-serving. One, we couldn't afford to pay for it.
Sure.
Second of all, it was a non-affiliated foundation paid for it, and these people came in and said, one, our accounting practices are best practices. So you have this third party telling you that. It also says that Soport's payroll was slightly above what other things were. I'll tell you, the thing that caught me off guard was not necessarily the number, is the number of employees. If you walked in the back of Soport, you saw a ton of cubicles, and it reminded me, I lived in D.C. for a year. It reminded me of something you see in D.C., one of those government buildings.
You know, when there were first, I think there were the 75 employees, and you laid off, I think it was 35.
That's not correct.
That's incorrect.
We only have 5 people on our payroll right now. Five people close to full-time, 2 or 3 part-time that work in our educational outreach covered by grants. And so I think
But there were a number of reports that said that when you guys closed down, cite that 70-something people lost their jobs.
72, yes,
Okay.
you're correct. And we rehired 5.
Okay.
And so
I guess the point I was making was when it comes to spending $2 million a year in salaries.
Correct.
What I said a bunch of times was it's not employees 50 through 74 that are killing you. It's usually 1 through 10. Is that a fair assumption?
Not necessarily, no, not at all. In fact, one thing I heard last week, y'all mentioned a $300,000 person.
Not accurate?
Nowhere even close.
What was your highest paid employee making?
Ann Fumarello was paid $113,000 a year base.
Okay.
And she had health insurance and stuff like that.
Car allowance and things like that?
A limited car allowance.
Okay. Was there some, I know you'll be honest, and was there some graft? Were there some things done wrong that you guys could uncover?
There were maybe bad judgment calls. And I want to be real careful before I criticize people that were on the board or before me, because I don't know what information they were presented with, but I will say that the temptation to use the restricted funds and other things to build up payables was to meet payroll. These weren't people that took money to go buy jet skis or go on trips to Hawaii. Essentially, and this sounds a little harsh, but their hearts were bigger than their brains. You know, they were so passionate about what they were doing, they made some bad financial decisions. But nowhere have I seen any graft or anything like that.
Who was anyone, you talked about this accounting firm, sort of this layer of bureaucracy between the people who ran Soport and you on the board.
That was a one-time deal. We had 2 of those, but it wasn't every year, so it wasn't an accounting firm.
So what I was going to lead to was how did you guys on the board, if there was this layer of protection, this prophylaxis of what was going on, how did you guys find out that if you're being told everything's okay, how did you find out it wasn't?
Really, what came crashing down was the audit that came out late, came out in March 2017. Also at that same time, and this will blow you away, January 2017, we had another consultant tell us that we didn't have enough employees, which is, the board was astounded, like, how is that possible? We had 72 people. And so that was, something's wrong here with what we're being told.
I guess the question is, did the people who were operating Cyport, did you said their heart was bigger than their brain? Did they have a sense of we're running this thing into the ground financially, or did they just kind of go, well, everything will work out, we'll get more donors?
It was very much things worked themselves out, which made people really got onto them and said, like, look, that's not how things work. It was always, let's go raise big amounts of money.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Still, what day is today? Tuesday, if I guess. Traffic update. Here's Brandon.
Let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Clean energy, saving customers $4 billion over 25 years. That's what SWEPCO's proposed wind catcher project will deliver.
Good morning. It's 622, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Time for sports. Here's
Good
Fletch.
morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Villanova won their third men's NCAA basketball championship with a 79-62 throttling of Michigan in the Alamo Dome Monday night. The Wildcats tore through the tournament, winning by an average of 17 points and by double digits in each of their 6 wins. Last night, Dante DiVincenzo came off the bench to lead Nova with 31 points, spearheading a first-half takeover with 12 points and finishing off the Wolverines with a 19-point barrage in the second stanza. Oakland beat Texas for the 9th straight time in the Coliseum after spoiling Bartolo Colon's Ranger debut with a 3-1 win last night. The oldest player in the big leagues gave up just 1 run on 7 hits and 6 innings of work. Kevin Jepson suffered the loss for Texas after giving up Jed Lowry's 2-run double in the 7th. And the Astros raised their World Series championship banner in front of a sellout crowd and then turned in a dominant performance in a 6-1 win over Baltimore. Charlie Morton threw 6 shutout innings to earn the win. George Springer led off the game with a double and scored on Alex Bregman's 2-bagger to give the folks a good reason to start partying early. Marwin Gonzalez hit his first homer of the season, and Derek Fisher tripled in a run and scored in a 3-run fourth. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
25 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Senator Bill Cassidy is in studio as soon as he gets here.
Raymond Cruz joins us in about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Guns.
Yeah.
Also, big news for I-20 at Barksdale.
What's it called? It begins with a G. What's that loan called? The bond called?
Steve Garvey.
No, well, you're close. It's called the Garvey loan or the Garvey bond.
Okay, yeah.
And it's making its way through the process, and it's sort of a highway department deal. Mm-hmm. And that will, from what I can determine, that's the money that will pay for the new I-20 exit from I-20 to Barksdale.
Yeah.
When to that North Gate, I guess.
Yes, it's exciting.
You later today, and you had the story. Have you had it yet? Because I was looking over your news copy about the Senate committee today for sports gaming.
Not yet. No, it's coming up in the news.
Could we jump the gun and play that soundbite from the guy? Do you have that? Could we play
there's
that?
Two. I'm not sure which one.
I want the one where he talks about, well, it kind of sucks and it's immoral, and if you gamble, you go to hell. But it gives money to Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. Do you have that one? Do you know which one I mean?
I don't know if I know which one you mean.
Who is this guy?
This is Senator Martini from New Orleans.
Democrat, Republican?
He is...
Or he's just from New Orleans, which is a whole other kind of bird.
I'm not sure. I don't know. His bill would legalize sports betting in Louisiana. He says arguments against it are that it expands gambling, but he says it can help generate a stable revenue source.
While they're against gaming themselves, if somebody else wants to participate in that, and it raises tax revenue that they don't end up having to pay, they're okay with it. They don't want to raise the sales tax, and we still got $1 billion deficit.
Oh.
I don't like that guy already.
You don't like him?
Well, first of all, he's starting from the assumption that we have to raise more revenue.
Right.
He's starting from the assumption that, well, we have to raise revenue. Mm-hmm. We're not spending enough.
Yeah.
You, the people of Louisiana, are not giving us enough of your money, and the only option to us taking more of your paycheck on a regular basis is that we get it from somewhere else.
Set your argument aside. Set your argument aside, because it's a great argument.
It's an awesome argument.
A, we'd have to vote on this. It would be 2 referendums on the ballot. B, this is happening anyway. Millions and millions is being spent on sports betting. Why not?
Because
it's not fair to the gambling boats. No. They are gambling, and we pay taxes.
Hang on,
they're like, all these other folks are gambling. Why aren't they paying taxes?
Settle down there, Edward Norton and Rounders.
I can't help it if you have a history of vetoes in your family that don't want to be taxed.
Is the purpose of a society to raise money for its government? Because the only reason anybody in government wants to legalize sports gambling, I'll tell you what let's do. Let's legalize sports gambling.
And lower our taxes elsewhere.
No. See, you're doing what the guy's doing. We have to have money. No, we don't.
I'm saying if this brings in $18 billion, let's lower taxes by $18 billion.
I have an idea. Let's do this. Let's legalize sports gaming and make it tax-free. If it's that great,
no, that's still not fair to the boats because they're gambling. They're paying 21%.
Well, you know what? Let's lower their tax. The point I'm making is: do you judge the morality or the purpose of a society? Do you judge the morality of what you do by how much money it raises for your government?
No, you can't do that.
But that's exactly what he's doing.
But why not make it legal? It's money out there on the table.
Because it's taking money. It's like a tax.
It, of course, is a tax.
No. In addition to the tax people will pay, most of the people are going to be losers. That's a tax on them, too. Why not just take all the people they're going to lose and say, we're raising your taxes? You're not forced to do it. I'm not forced to go play blackjack. If I want to go play blackjack, I go. I know my risks. I understand.
If I want to bet on Villanova, which I won the bet yesterday, by the way, you owe me money.
You are taking money from Louisianans and giving it to state government. That is like a tax.
And they know it is.
If we can get people in Texas to give us their money, if we can get people in Arkansas to give us their money.
Texas may not legalize sports betting. They may come over here and bet.
Basically what this is, it's an industry, an expansion of an industry. And at least the boats get some. There are a number of tourist dollars. What this is for the vast, vast, vast majority, It's an industry that will produce nothing and benefit nothing and make nothing other than take money from Louisianans and send it to the state.
Let's set up some sports betting parlors.
29 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update. Right now, here's Brandon.
So far this morning, it looks like clear conditions on the roadways in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But that could change in an instant. If you see something, make sure you let us know on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds, high 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Hey there, it's Reese.
And Irvi from the Franchise Concert.
For travel in our region, lawmakers agree to a $600 million borrowing plan to finance 3 interstate projects aimed at alleviating traffic snarls and boosting economic development efforts. One of those projects is the I-20 interchange to get to Barksdale. It's springtime, and at the duck pond, it means a form of algae's been forming all along the water. Councilman Oliver Jenkins has been working to fix the problem. The city's been aerating, lighting, and adding fountains to keep the water moving. The city's already spent $55,000 on the problem, and it could cost more than $135,000. 2 big companies bringing more work to our area. Reuben Wright with more.
The Bossier City Council voted Tuesday to sell land in Bossier's Industrial Park. Hydroline and Axis Construction will be bringing dozens of jobs to the area, with some paying upwards of $50,000 a year. David Rockett, the president of the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation, helped coordinate the sale. For 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Reuben Wright.
Shreveport Police Department placing Officer Jessica Talley on departmental leave. The chief placed Talley on paid leave for possible policy violations. David Deberodny facing more federal charges after failing to reach a plea agreement with prosecutors. Deberodny facing 8 additional charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, and making false statements to the bank. A gun control bill to be heard in committee today. It would raise the minimum purchasing age for assault weapons to 21. New Orleans Senator Troy Carter.
Under current law, an 18-year-old cannot purchase a handgun. That's current law. So that's not an infringement of the constitutional rights. Certainly bringing it in line with an assault weapon is not either.
But Louisiana Shooting Association lobbyist Wade Duty says the bills are flawed because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes an assault weapon.
The problem, as they say, is the devil's in the details, and trying to define a particular group of firearms as an assault weapon gets pretty sticky pretty quick.
He says gun manufacturers can easily bypass restrictions by subtly modifying their products in ways that are easy to undo. A group rallying for justice in the Alton Sterling case, they held a protest in front of Attorney General Jeff Landry's office. State Director of the NAACP, Michael McClanahan, says they're peacefully protesting but hope that Landry comes out and speaks with them so they can urge him to reverse his decision. They're currently at the office during the lunch hour, but McClanahan expects the groups to get larger and remain camped out for longer stints.
At some point in time, we'll not only be there at lunchtime, but we'll be there from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're going to swell to where we'll be able to occupy at all times that building in the ground.
So far, no comment from Landry's office. A bill that calls for a statewide referendum to legalize sports betting will be heard in a Senate committee today. Metairie Senator Daniel Martini says the argument against his legislation is that it expands gambling, but it can help generate a stable source of revenue for the state.
while they're against gaming themselves, if somebody else wants to participate in that and it raises tax revenue that they don't end up having to pay, they're okay with it. They don't want to raise the sales tax, and we still got $1 billion deficit.
Elections could be held in November if the bills pass. SpaceX launching another rocket to the International Space Station from Cape Canaveral.
3, 2, 1, and 0. And a liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft, packed with science and supplies for the International Space Station, humanity's home in low Earth orbit. And the Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
The rocket carrying supplies and science experiments to reach the ISS on Wednesday. Villanova Wildcats head coach Jay Wright, the 8th coach to win 2 titles in a 3-year span in the history of NCAA basketball. After the game, he reflects on that achievement.
It's amazing. I'm just really blessed. I really feel God's blessed me to allow me to be at Villanova, get these kids, coach these kids. I'm much more comfortable.
Audio provided by the Westwood One Radio Network. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. State Representative Raymond Cruz here in a couple of seconds. United States Senator Bill Cassidy just after 7 o'clock or whenever the entourage arrives.
Mm-hmm.
The motorcade. That would be at the motorcade.
Yeah.
So you didn't watch any basketball last night? Absolutely none.
None last night.
I totally forgot it was on.
Well, I didn't forget it was on. I just don't have. I'm discombobulated still.
Because, what are you eating?
A straw. You want some?
No, I'm cutting back. My plastic intake is limited to Mexican restaurants.
But apparently it was no contest. It was Villanova all the way, won by 9. You owe me some money. What did we bet, by the way? $1 million?
I think I had Villanova and 8.
They won by 9.
You gave
no,
me.
you Michigan. No, BS. You said I'll take Michigan in 7.5.
You kept saying Villanova is doomed.
Matt's with me. He knows what
Matt's
you did.
Going on vacation, and he knows you're a department head. Matt doesn't care. Villanova, the big winner last night.
It's amazing you can get a 6th guy off the bench. He comes in and scores 31 points.
And basically a guy who's when his college career is over, his basketball career is over.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
he's not an NBA prospect.
The NBA guys aren't beating down the doors for Jay DiVincenzo or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So last night, first of all, Villanova had won every tournament game by 12 points or more.
They spanked everyone.
Second of all, they had played nothing but top 5 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's right. And Michigan had not played any top 5 seeds.
Mm-hmm. Villanova was... they were leading this game by double digits almost the entire time from jump. Just Michigan got off to a little bit of a good start, but
I think
after that,
6-point lead at one point.
Yeah, after that, it was like double digits for Villanova.
Villanova just too good. Their second national championship in the last 3 years.
Amazing.
6:39. It's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The latest traffic update right now. Here's Brandon.
So far this morning, it looks like clear conditions on the roadways in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But that could change in an instant. If you see something, make sure you let us know on the Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Your
Good morning, 641. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty. KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. State Representative Raymond Cruz is here. Hey, Mr. Raymond, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Robert and Erin. How are y'all today?
Good. I'm getting younger every day, but we'll talk about that another time. I'm looking at a website here. It says LouisianaShooting.com, and we kind of got into this last week with Gun Talk host Tom Gresham. And the website is LouisianaShooting.com, and as you are aware, there are a number of gun control measures that are coming up in the legislature. And it lists a number of Republican legislators. It says, contact these legislators. We cannot afford to lose even one Republican. Not one Republican vote on this committee. And your name is on that list. Mr. Raymond, it occurs to me that you are, let's just clear all this up. Tell everybody how you feel about gun control, Second Amendment, etc.
Well, I'm a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and contrary to most people, I do not see that as primarily a vehicle for the sportsman, for the hunter. I see it as a way to protect the country against tyranny. There's no way to keep a government in check unless they know the citizenry, the people, are armed and can protect themselves.
Do you think that your name is on this list of, and I'm looking at the list, and it's all Republicans and independents, and I'm thinking, obviously this website, LouisianaShooting.com, sees these legislators you included as shaky. Do you think your name might be on the list because you're a first-term legislator and you don't have a lengthy pro-Second Amendment record?
That's the only thing I can guess. I was, from the very moment I started last year, I was in criminal justice, and I think if anybody observed me for even the first 3 minutes, they'd realize I'm a very strong Second Amendment supporter. That's part of the reason I served in the military, and that's why I've had that as part of my my platform since I first started running. That's just an essential right, and it's recognized by the Constitution. It's not granted by the Constitution. It's recognized as one that we have inherently.
So basically, Raymond Cruz is a no vote on any gun control measures.
That's correct.
What about the Senate bill that would raise the age for buying assault weapons to 21? Being heard in a committee today, looks like it may get out of that committee. You're a no vote on that one too?
Well, I got to tell you, some of these gun control measures, they're not going to do anything anyway. It's window washing. There's several things. Sometimes we just have knee-jerk reaction. We think that's going to solve it. 80% of all gun deaths happen from handguns. Why we focus so much on the assault weapon per se is just because it looks menacing. It has nothing really to do with efficacy of stopping these types of crimes.
Let's switch to the Garvey bills. It looks like 3 transportation projects are getting approved. One of them is really big for our area. Tell us what's going on.
Oh, yeah, that's great news. Yesterday, the Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget approved the use of the Garvey funds to fund the 220 entrance into Barksdale Air Force Base, and that's a real big deal for our area. First of all, because, you know, Barksdale Air Force Base is a huge economic powerhouse for our region. It brings us a lot of pride. We have good relations with the military there. Lots of our retirees in the community came from Barksdale. So it's just a real big thing to keep Barksdale in our area and be able to provide what they need to do their mission. And one of the things they were very intent on getting was another entrance into the base so they could deliver munitions and whatnot to the base unencumbered by the getting off of 220 there on airline or industrial or whatever. This is just a much better entrance, very straightforward, and it's going to open up the east side of that base for lots of development.
You said 220. You mean I-20, right?
Well, they interchange right there, 220 and
So that's
I-20.
where it's going to be? It's going to be out there by 220?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a major project.
Yes, it sure is. And you know how 220 was left kind of, I guess, in a unfinished status, not that they were ever really planning on it, but they have off-ramps kind of built there just out of the berm, the dirt, but they're going to be able to finish that and go straight into the base off of 220.
All right. How long a project is this? I mean, it's multiple years, right?
Yeah, that's up to anybody's guess. They've stressed the importance of doing it quickly, but still, you know, in the construction business, that is years. So I'd look for it to be completed in 2 to 3 years, but, you know, anything can happen with bonding and bidding and all those types of things.
Okay, you've been down there in Baton Rouge now in the regular session. Y'all fixed the budget yet?
Well, I'm not on appropriations, but the word I hear from the people there is they are very intent on taking that draconian budget that was presented back in January and spreading those cuts a little bit more evenly and getting rid of some programs. I haven't heard a lot of details on it, but they're very intent on preserving those things that are important to Louisianans and just moving those costs around a bit.
Lots of talk about a constitutional convention, that we really need to change our tax structure, and that may be one of the only ways to do it. Is Raymond Cruz for that? Do you support it?
I am, but not necessarily at this time. As you know, whoever's at the helm when those things take place, that has a lot of effect on what the outcome is going to be. So I personally would like to see a much more conservative governor in office before we tackle that issue.
So basically you think, my words, not yours, that John Bell would screw it up.
Like you said, your words, not mine. I'm very optimistic it can be done and done right, but we've got to have someone who shares some of the same vision that we have in North Louisiana, in my estimation.
Is John Bell Edwards a one-term governor?
Well, unless he changes something quickly, it's looking that way to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you hearing that from a lot of constituents?
I've seen politicians change their stripes, but I don't really see that going on right now, so I don't know.
Special session going to follow this regular session?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Raymond.
He shortened this one, right?
Pardon me if I overreacted.
Yes, they're making an effort to complete our regular session 2 weeks early so we can go right into the special during the regularly scheduled regular session in order not to incur any special or extra per diem charges.
Okay, once again, my words, not yours. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Is John Bell insane?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. Misguided, maybe, or a little bit. A lot of people like to play to their electorate, and they sometimes don't realize what their electorate really want. I wish that weren't true, but that seems to be what it is.
But does anyone really expect a different result from this session, special, than the last one?
No, except I really do expect that during this regular session, appropriations is going to be able to do some good work and be able to make those cuts more reasonable.
I expect you to come home without raising my taxes. How about that?
That sounds like a great plan. That's my plan.
Raymond Cruz, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Hey, thank you both for the great work you do.
Thanks.
Good morning, 649, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Senator Bill Cassidy just after 7. Here's Brandon.
This morning at Mansfield and Claiborne, it looks like most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area, but if you see something slowing traffic down, let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Okay, here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Increasing cloudiness, a chance of rain later today into this evening. Could be, it's springtime, tornadoes a possibility.
Change right there, 220.
So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be out there.
Sane?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. Misguided, maybe, or a little bit. A lot of people like to play to their electorate, and they sometimes don't realize what their electorate
won their third men's NCAA basketball championship with a 79-62 throttling of Michigan in the Alamo Dome Monday night. The Wildcats tore through the tournament, winning by an average of 17 points and by double digits in each of their 6 wins. Last night,
No, I wouldn't say that at all. Misguided, maybe, or a little bit. A lot of people like to play to their electorate, and they sometimes don't realize what their electorate really want. I wish that weren't true, but that seems to be what it is.
But does anybody really?
Hicks of Shreveport Police has been named our very first top cop.
Do we know why? Is it a secret? Can
Oh,
you
there
tell
were
me?
so many people that nominated him. He got
Really?
nominated by several folks. He's rescued dogs, cats, horses. He has gone into businesses where there was like crime in progress. This guy has done all kinds of amazing things during his off hours, his on hours.
Is he coming in soon? When
We're
is-
working out getting him to come in because we're going to present him with his award, and then he's going to go into the yearly
Okay.
drawing,
So-
yearly voting, I should
so
say.
tell folks about how they can register, sign up, how they
Mhm.
can put their favorite first responder, first police officer
Yep.
into the hopper, into the bin.
It's right there at keelnews.com, right on the top in the bar. You can go there and enter the favorite law enforcement officer in your life.
Bill Cassidy just after 7 o'clock right now. Rush on Keel.
We are in the second year of the Trump presidency. There's still as much deranged lunacy out there as there has been. I'm going to give you an example. A woman in Sacramento who will not tell us who she is selling her house. She will only accept offers from buyers who are not Trump supporters. If you're a Trump supporter, you can't bid. Now, the woman selling the property, again, unidentified, supposedly to protect her identity. But from who? Her realtor says that locking out Trump supporters is an issue of principles and morals and ethics. Now, experts say it's not clear if this violates the Federal Fair Housing Act. That law protects against discrimination on race, color, handicap.
The government in check unless they know the citizenry, the people, are armed and can protect themselves.
Do you think that your name, etc.?
Well, I'm a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and contrary to most people, that's correct.
What about the Senate bill that would raise the age for buying assault weapons to 21? Being heard in a committee today, looks like it may get out of that committee. You're a no vote on that?
But new LifeLock with Norton gives you more protection for today's connected world. Join now, get 10% off your first year. Go online to lifelock.com and enter the promo code RUSH. That's lifelock.com. Remember, promo code RUSH.
After a minor accident early this morning at Mansfield and Claiborne, it looks like most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But if you see something slowing traffic down, let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
659, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. It's time for Fox News.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Well, I got to tell you, some of these gun control measures, they're not going to do anything anyway. It's window washing. There's several things. Sometimes we just have knee-jerk reaction. We think that's going to solve it. 80% of all gun deaths happen from handguns. Why we focus so much on the assault weapon per se? Well, I got to tell you, some of these gun control measures, they're not going to do anything anyway. It's window washing. Gun control measures, they're not going to do. Some of these gun control measures, they're not going to do anything anyway. It's window washing. There's several things. Sometimes we just have knee-jerk reaction. We think that's going to solve it. 80% of all gun deaths happen from handguns. Why we focus so much on the assault weapon per se is just because it looks menacing. It has nothing. Some of these gun control measures, they're not going to do anything anyway. It's window washing. There's several things. Sometimes we just have knee-jerk reaction. We think that's going to solve it. 80. Window washing. There's several things. Sometimes we just have need. Of all gun deaths happen from handguns. Jerk reaction, we think that's going to solve it. 80% of all gun.
Free past 7 o'clock, Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, the free to download KEEL app, and Erin has news up next.
Skyport leaders working to restructure debt. We'll tell you more about that. Trouble at the duck pond with the algae. What's the city doing about it? And Bossier City could soon have some high-paying jobs.
State Commissioner. Cattle Commissioner Stephen Jackson joins us just after 8 o'clock this morning. Evidently, he doesn't see eye to eye with some of the statements made in the studio yesterday by Skyport Board Chairman Rich Lamb. Mm-hmm. And United States Senator Bill Cassidy is here.
Shout out, Bill. He's en route.
Drive faster. Put down the hash brown casserole. Come down the street. Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather. And it's all here this hour coming up on KEEL.
KEEL News now.
Some good news for travel in our region. Lawmakers agree to a $600 million borrowing plan to finance 3 interstate projects aimed at alleviating traffic snarls and boosting economic development efforts. One of those projects is the I-20 interchange to get to Barksdale. It's springtime, and at the duck pond, it means a form of algae has been forming all along the water. Councilman Oliver Jenkins has been working to fix the problem. The city's been aerating, lighting, and adding fountains to keep the water moving. The city's already spent $55,000 on the problem, and it could cost more than $135,000. 2 big companies bringing more work to our area. Reuben Wright with more.
The Bossier City Council voted Tuesday to sell land in Bossier's Industrial Park. Hydroline and Axis Construction will be bringing dozens of jobs to the area, with some paying upwards of $50,000 a year. David Rockett, the president of the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation, helped coordinate the sale. For 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Reuben Wright.
Shreveport Police Department placing Officer Jessica Talley on departmental leave. The chief placed Talley on paid leave for possible policy violations. David Deberodny facing more federal charges after failing to reach a plea agreement with prosecutors. Deberodny facing 8 additional charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, and making false statements to the bank. A gun control bill to be heard in committee today. It would raise the minimum purchasing age for assault weapons to 21. New Orleans Senator Troy Carter.
Under current law, an 18-year-old cannot purchase a handgun. That's current law. So that's not an infringement of the constitutional rights. Certainly bringing it in line with an assault weapon is not either.
But Louisiana Shooting Association lobbyist Wade Duty says the bills are flawed because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes an assault weapon.
The problem, as they say, is the devil's in the details, and trying to define a particular group of firearms as an assault weapon gets pretty sticky pretty quick.
He says gun manufacturers can easily bypass restrictions by subtly modifying their products in ways that are easy to undo. A group rallying for justice in the Alton Sterling case, they held a protest in front of Attorney General Jeff Landry's office. State Director of the NAACP, Michael McClanahan, says they're peacefully protesting but hope that Landry comes out and speaks with them so they can urge him to reverse his decision. They're currently at the office during the lunch hour, but McClanahan expects the groups to get larger and remain camped out for longer stints.
At some point in time, we'll not only be there at lunchtime, but we'll be there from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're going to swell to where we'll be able to occupy at all times that building in the ground.
So far, no comment from Landry's office. A bill that calls for a statewide referendum to legalize sports betting will be heard in a Senate committee today. Metairie Senator Daniel Martini says the argument against his legislation is that it expands gambling, but it can help generate a stable source of revenue for the state.
While they're against gaming themselves, if somebody else wants to participate in that and it raises tax revenue that they don't end up having to pay, they're okay with it. They don't want to raise the sales tax, and we still got $1 billion deficit.
Elections could be held in November if the bills pass. SpaceX launching another rocket to the International Space Station from Cape Canaveral.
3, 2, 1, and 0. And a liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft, packed with science and supplies for the International Space Station, humanity's home in low Earth orbit. And the Falcon 9 has cleared the tower. The rocket carrying supplies and science experiments to reach the ISS on Wednesday. Villanova Wildcats head coach Jay Wright, the 8th coach to win 2 titles in a 3-year span in the history of NCAA basketball. After the game, he reflects on that achievement.
It's amazing. I'm just really blessed. I really feel God's blessed me to allow me to be at Villanova, get these kids, coach these kids. I'm much more comfortable.
Audio provided by the Westwood One Radio Network. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
If you ever want to buy a house or a car, you're going to want to know your
.101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Tuesday morning traffic update. Here's Brandon.
So far this morning, it looks like clear conditions on the roadways in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But that could change in an instant. If you see something, make sure you let us know on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
This hour's weather brought to you by Blue Cross Blue.
12 past 7 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app, a free download presented by our friends at Office Furniture Source. If I were wearing a hat, well, first of all, you couldn't see how little hair I have, and B, I would tip it to the folks at Office Furniture Source. The Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. I mention that because I just want to kind of do an informal poll about something we discussed last hour, the possibility of legalized...
Leave me alone.
Do you want some floss? Do you forget we're on camera all the time?
No one's watching.
What are you doing? Only about like 85 people
I know.
right
Sorry
now.
about that.
No, it's okay. Well, you do a swish and spit.
I do need to do that. Hang on a minute.
Okay, yeah. Well, in this case, a swish and swallow. Don't be flying that stuff across the room. No. Don't John Belushi in Animal House.
Yeah.
I started to say it's something we discussed last hour, and I want to do sort of an informal audience poll.
Okay.
318-392-1884, the Shreveport Security Systems text line. Would you be in favor of legalized sports betting? Would you be in favor of legalized sports betting?
I'll do that right now.
You
Get
would
that
vote.
ready.
You can put it up online if you. In fact, that may not be a bad online poll.
I'll do that right now. Yeah.
If you want to set that up, put my name on it, and I'll flesh it out later since you stole one of mine. How does that sound? The point I'm making is I think you would vote yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely, because it's already going on. It's going on widespread.
There's a lot of things.
I know.
They've legalized marijuana in Colorado. Should we do that here? They've legalized heroin in Amsterdam. Should we do that here?
Why not make it legal? Why not me be...
Wait.
Let me finish. Shut up a minute. Why not? I don't want to go to Vito at the corner bar and make my wager. I want to go in a nice sports betting parlor,
right?
Maybe drink a cold beer, and then go make a bet on a game if I feel like it. I feel dirty the way I have to do it now. I mean, the way my friends have to do it now.
Well, first of all, you're insulting your bookie. So we'll get Ruben.
Well, you don't know who he is.
We'll get Ruben to start your car.
Yeah.
Secondly, and is do you see the biggest plus? And you got to ask yourself this if you're thinking, I think sports gambling is a good idea to be legalized. Is in your mind the number one reason to legalize sports betting is the number one reason to raise revenue for the state?
No, that to me is not the number one reason. The number one reason is to clean up an industry that's already out there. The underbelly's already out there. There are millions and billions spent in sports betting.
It's not.
I mean, I have my friends have middlemen deliver their winnings.
It's not regulated. It's not controlled by the state. That doesn't make it sleazy and dirty and, as you call it, the underbelly.
But essentially, any folks who do sports betting, you're committing a crime. Right now, you're committing a crime.
You text and drive.
I don't think it should be a crime.
I've said this before. Shreveport
Texting
Security.
and wait a minute before I throw something at you. Texting and driving endangers other people.
Shreveport Security.
Sports betting does not endanger one toe on anyone else but me and my bookie. My friend's bookie.
And your family and your financial security, etc. But that's another story.
That's my business. If I want to flush my money down the toilet or throw it in the Red River, that's my damn business, and I can do what I want with it.
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Shreveport Security Systems text line, 318-392-1884. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I hate when freedom is boiled down to how much can it bring in taxes. Gambling, marijuana, prostitution, any other things we should talk about legalizing should be discussed in the freedom of citizens, not in money to the government. I responded, everyone seems to start from the assumption that raising more money for government is always a good thing. I don't get it. And the response, it always amazes me how even the most freedom-minded libertarians start with the conversation, think about how much money we could raise in taxes if we just legalize it. I know it may be just a marketing tool or selling point, but it floors me when taxes are the first thing out of anyone's mouth. So,
that's not my priority with this. My priority is people that I know that bet on sports games and like to do it. It's fun. It's exciting.
Then why would you
don't make me don't make those folks criminal.
Why is it important to you that the state regulate and control it? If it's not hurting anyone, by your own admission, by your own, if it's not hurting anybody, if it's somebody's,
I'm not pushing the regular. That's not my argument. Is don't make these folks criminals. Let's legalize it. Let's not call them criminals anymore. I mean, we're not enforcing it. We all know that.
Okay, so what's the deal?
Because I can't go in. I want to go in a nice betting parlor.
What are you going
have
into?
A cold one?
You make it sound like you're going into a whorehouse or an opium den to make a bet. You're not.
No, I'm not, but I feel sleazy the way we have to do it now. I mean, the way anybody that has to do it does it now.
So you would vote yes for the reason that it would be regulated and clean, and it would be like heroin.
We'd have betting parlors.
So it would be like heroin consumption in the Netherlands.
I'm not in favor of heroin. Don't even go there.
18 past
Such
7 o'clock.
An idiot.
No. I'm just comparing.
No one gets harmed by sports betting.
That's totally untrue.
Except the bookie and the bettor.
And the taxpayer.
No.
18 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Traffic and weather updates just a couple of seconds away. And United States Senator Bill Cassidy, that gentleman is standing by as soon as he gets here. It's coming up on KEEL. Nineteen past 7 o'clock. KEEL traffic update. Brandon's here.
Lane, most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area at this time. If that changes, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
We're still trying to choke each other, and not in a good way. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, the latest sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Villanova won their third men's NCAA basketball championship with a 79-62 throttling of Michigan in the Alamo Dome Monday night. The Wildcats tore through the tournament, winning by an average of 17 points and by double digits in each of their 6 wins. Last night, Dante DiVincenzo came off the bench to lead Nova with 31 points, spearheading a first-half takeover with 12 points and finishing off the Wolverines with a 19-point barrage in the second stanza. Oakland beat Texas for the 9th straight time in the Coliseum after spoiling Bartolo Colon's Ranger debut with a 3-1 win last night. The oldest player in the big leagues gave up just 1 run on 7 hits and 6 innings of work. Kevin Jepson suffered the loss for Texas after giving up Jed Lowry's 2-run double in the 7th. And the Astros raised their World Series championship banner in front of a sellout crowd and then turned in a dominant performance in a 6-1 win over Baltimore. Charlie Morton threw 6 shutout innings to earn the win. George Springer led off the game with a double and scored on Alex Bregman's 2-bagger to give the folks a good reason to start partying early. Marwin Gonzalez hit his first homer of the season, and Derek Fisher tripled in a run and scored in a 3-run fourth. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Every
23 past 7 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. In studio, a gentleman we have not had in studio for a while. United States Senator Bill Cassidy is here. Hey, Mr. Bill. Dr. Bill, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Robert. How are you, man?
Well, you're in Washington. Suddenly everything has calmed down. It's smoothed out, thanks in great part to your calming influence.
Washington is not calm. I mean, Donald Trump is not going to let Washington be calm. So.
On the 1 to 10 scale of what you anticipated, is with 10 being, this place is crazier than I thought. Where would you place our nation's capital?
Well, again, Donald Trump's, what did he say about Kim Jong-un? It was a joke, but maybe it wasn't a joke. He goes something like, that crazy little guy, he's got to worry about me. I'm the crazy big guy.
do you sense that in sort of all seriousness, that what people don't get about Trump is that he is in constant negotiation, and as quoted in The Art of the Deal, if your first offer doesn't make your adversary cringe, then you're not doing it right. And he throws out a lot of things that make his adversaries cringe.
He clearly does that. If you even go back to North Korea, in all seriousness, the whole reason that Kim Jong-un is willing to negotiate is that he truly thinks Trump would do something crazy. And because of that, all of a sudden, he can't just kind of sit there and say, oh, man, I'm going to hunker down. He's thinking, this guy will take me out.
Do you think the, in verbal italics, craziness that Trump projects, do you think he is a man who goes to bed at night stressed out, or is your sense that he is just enjoying this like nothing he's ever done before?
You know, I'm not sure he enjoys Robert Mueller, but on the other hand, I think he just loves conflict. I said to someone, I said to a New Yorker, he's just another New Yorker that, hey, don't offend New Yorkers. So he just loves conflict. He's a very aggressive personality. He likes to stick a finger in somebody's eye. On the other hand, I do think Mueller gets to him.
The budget bill sticks a finger in the taxpayer's eye. It's a $1.3 trillion. There's no spending priorities. It's just a mess. You voted no. I don't understand, and we asked Senator Kennedy this, who caved? Who decided we're caving?
Well, a couple things. You know, I'm a gastroenterologist, so the word incontinent immediately comes to mind about that bill.
That was good.
And so
do that one on TV. See how it flies.
I won't go any further.
Well, he was talking about whizzing on legs, so you're good. Y'all
you
are
have
good.
A point.
Yeah.
So what happened is that just total story is that Republicans wanted more money for the military. Under the budget cap agreement, 2/3 of the cuts had come from the military. We saw that soldiers were dying and sailors and Marines were dying in training accidents, not in combat, and it was thought it was related to stress. Now, the Democrat Party's price for increasing the military spending was to increase spending on domestic issues. And that was their price to agree. At that point, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Pelosi, and Schumer get into a room and they negotiated. That's how it played.
Disappointed with your leaders on the Republican side?
You know, I think you pointed out this is a finger in the eye of the taxpayer, and it is. And we were concerned about the debt and deficit 3 to 4 years ago. Now it seems that we are not. And I think we should be. And so in that case, I am disappointed.
What's in it for Louisiana?
Well, Barksdale, Fort Polk, Belle Chase will be part of the general increased spending of things on the military. And that's good. These are critical to defending our country. We're going to be transitioning from a war that will be in the mountains of Afghanistan, it appears, into that which is more typical war, if you will, where Russian soldiers, mercenaries, attack our troops in Iraq. And by the way, if you've not listened to the transcript of the Russian soldiers getting slaughtered by our troops, it's a great thing to listen to. Our guys were ready for them, even though it was a surprise attack, and those folks were just like amazed at how strong our folks were. So we're going to be transitioning to more of a conventional type situation, and we have to be prepared for that.
Anything with regard to roads, schools? I mean,
There is money to harden schools. After that shooting in Parkland, obviously we have to have a response, and folks want their children to go to school and not worry about their safety. Now, there's always going to be someone out there that's going to do something terrible, but the degree that you can make it more difficult for that one person is better, and there's going to be there was a lot of money in the bill that will help school systems make their schools less likely to be preyed upon by a troubled young person who desires to make a mark in life.
United States Senator Bill Cassidy. A short break. Come back. Lots more to talk about. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, 29 past 7 o'clock. Traffic update right now. Here comes Brandon.
Roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area at this time. If that changes, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds, high 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Erin.
.101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. United States Senator. The junior senator is younger than... No, wait. The senior senator...
He's the senior senator.
Who is younger than the junior senator.
Oh.
No small irony there. United States Senator Bill Cassidy is here. Before we get into the opioid stuff, a little bit more on specifically gun control, and it's the Stop School Violence Act. Tell us about that and what you favor and what you're against, and sort of just tell everybody where you stand.
So a couple things. Again, the Stop School Violence Act is trying to make schools harder. If you look at the Nicholas Cruz in Florida, he went up to a second floor window, I'm told, and tried to shoot down upon the playground, but the second floor window was bulletproof, and so it could not go through. Adam Lanza, when he went to Sandy Hook, he couldn't get in the door, so he shot out a window and he walked in. If there had been a bulletproof window at Sandy Hook, as there was in Florida, then Adam Lanza could not have gained entry to the school. So if we can make the schools safer, and we're sorry to have to do that, but nonetheless, if we can make them safer, then we can protect children, and we need to protect children.
All paid for by federal money because our state's broke, as you know.
There's a huge slug of federal money. I can't tell you the exact sum off the top of my head, but a huge slug of federal money that's available for states and school districts to pull down to help retrofit, if you will, these schools.
The opioid crisis. You've introduced several bills with regard to harsher penalties. Tell us about those first, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about, because you're a doctor. So I want to talk to you about a lot of the allegations are filed against doctors even.
Well, a couple things. Everybody, we're talking offline. Everybody knows somebody who has had a family member die of opioids. It is just incredible. And there has to be just this response to it that is of the same measure as the problem. Now, you don't just do one thing, you do lots of things. But, for example, the penalties for selling fentanyl, which is much stronger than heroin, the penalties should be likewise stronger. And if somebody is going to bring in fentanyl, which is much more likely to cause someone to die of an overdose, then they should be penalized accordingly. President Trump wants to have death penalty for those certain drug pushers.
You can't be for that.
There's a certain rationale. There is a young man I know of, and whenever I speak of him, I get emotional, but he went to treatment. He came out of treatment, 17-year-old, and you can see it. The pusher didn't want him to get clean. So the pusher searches him out, and when he emerges from treatment, gives him drug laced with fentanyl. He's used to heroin. He dies of an overdose the day after leaving treatment. Now, if that was premeditated, that's premeditated murder. Now, that is something that we as a society have to think about. And it does seem, now, you're right, maybe it's manslaughter, but there should be some penalty commensurate with the fact that you're causing someone's death.
What about the accusations that some doctors have been over-prescribing opioids for years, and that we should address that as well?
There's two aspects to that. There's so-called pill mills, a doctor that might move between Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas, and you walk in, give them $500, and you walk out with 4 prescriptions. So we've got to shut down pill mills. That's been an ongoing effort. Louisiana has done a very good job of putting our systems together so as to be able to work with law enforcement and shut down pill mills. That's a good thing. Second thing, though, is that some physicians will just routinely write for more than they need to. There's a study recently in which patients go into the same emergency room, same condition, but seeing 2 different doctors. One would walk out with a 3-week prescription, and one would walk out with a 3-day prescription of opioids. If you have a genetic predisposition to addiction, you go in not an addict, and 3 weeks later you are. Mm-hmm. And so we've got to address that, and that's the other thing we're doing.
Let me ask you this, because this hurts my heart a lot too. Just last week delivered Easter baskets to several local agencies, including Hope Connections for homeless folks, Christian Services, and I saw a lot of people milling around. Vast majority of them need recovery help. They need help getting off of their drugs. I know one of your measures is addressing that. We need more money for that. Is that coming?
Yes, there is, and there's actually 2 pots of money, one going to communities and to agencies. That's been the money that's been getting out. And there's another pot of money going to the state. There's been a lag time in getting both regulations written on the federal level and states applying, and that money will be coming. There's hundreds of millions available for that. And it is to make sure that there's treatment, but that the treatment is also good. You don't want somebody just running folks through with no benefit. You want to make sure that when they go through, they're more likely to be cured than otherwise. And so 2 aspects of that: to help the patient, protect the taxpayer.
In wrapping up, let's get back to the macro of America just a little bit. Despite the ongoing seeming chaos that is just hurled day in and day out by the mainstream media, I see, after a year of Donald Trump, I see America being in a pretty good place. The economy is growing and stronger than it's been in a long, long time. Worldwide, he's what you said, this real estate guy from New York. He seems to be winning at every stage. Do you agree with me on that?
Absolutely. Folks don't like his style. He is an acquired taste for many. Even his fans wish he would stop tweeting. On the other hand, we have almost record low unemployment, which means record high employment of veterans. We have record low unemployment of African Americans, record low unemployment of Hispanic Americans. We have the economy growing roughly 2 times higher than it was over the last 8 years. We have wages starting to grow. People who've been unemployed for years getting back into the job force. He wants to have American energy dominance. So there's now gas wells opening back up in the Haynesville. There's a big oil development down in central Louisiana. That puts Americans back to work. You go through DeSoto Parish, they clearly have a tax base from their natural gas. It also puts money back into municipal government to provide services. So Trump, you may not like his style. And in fact, if you poll, do you like Donald Trump? 50% of the people say no. Do you like his policies? 60% say, yes, I like his policies. So they like his policies.
Dr. Bill, a pleasure as always. We know you have other stops this morning. If you got to go, you got to go. A pleasure as always, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Aaron.
Senator Bill Cassidy, always a pleasure. 7:39, it's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic update coming up right now. Brandon looks ready.
Other than a minor accident at Walker Road and Mackey Lane, most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area at this time. If that changes, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds, high 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Hey there, it's Robert J. Wright once again.
You tell me when. Hey, this is Sam.
Take two. Believe me, when we do it, the joke in the house is if an ad agency calls. Dum, dum. 742, it's 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. The Keel app, a free download from Office Furniture Source.
Senator Cassidy looks good.
You said that to him. You said
he really looks vibrant, healthy, like he's running or something.
It's interesting, yeah, because that's another one of those jobs. Look, you have said for 1,000 years, that the key, I'm trying to think how to phrase this and clean it up. This job is worth a lot of fill in the blank just because of the hours.
Oh, definitely. I can't imagine his schedule.
When you get or his
Oh my
or
God.
Mr. John's
I
or
couldn't
Mike
keep that kind of schedule.
or Mike Johnson or
Yeah.
it's you never literally from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock, you're working.
Yeah.
Imagine a job, and I'm serious about this. Imagine a job that never goes away. I mean, when you look at, pictures of Obama at the beginning of his 2 terms or George W. Bush, any president, and you see how the 8 years in office ages them, it's because it never goes away.
I mean, you and I keep our phones with us all the time, and we look at it a lot.
I don't think it's
But
quite
imagine his phone. His phone could be, there's somebody dead. There's world tragedy. His phone could be any crazy thing
I am not
happening.
one of those people who can sleep on the run. If you can't sleep.
You have to.
If you got to learn.
He's got to learn to sleep in a car.
Or you just never get a nap.
You would never get a nap.
I mean, you and I have joked about the reason, and you're in the middle of redoing your house right now, a big renovation project. And you say, I could have meant to do this 10 years ago, but it would mess up my nap.
Yeah, all the banging would interrupt my nap. I got to have my nap.
My point exactly. 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Okay, joining us just after 7 o'clock.
Just after 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, sorry. Originally planned to be in studio, now by phone, is Caddo Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Boy, the muck is flying.
Explain to me what you mean. And what is the muck? Is it being thrown? Is it falling from the sky?
Well,
willy-nilly.
It has to do with Scyport, and the board president, Rich Lamb, was in studio with us yesterday, and we talked about the reported $2 million loan from the parish that Scyport had requested.
Well, now, Mr. Rich said...
No, that didn't happen like that. That's not what went down, and we're not asking for a loan from the parish. Well, shortly after that interview ended, I get a text from Caddo Commissioner Stephen Jackson, who was in a meeting with 1 or 2 Scyport board members, and he says unequivocally, they asked for a $2 million loan.
I hope that local kid doesn't get that word in this spelling
Yeah,
bee.
no kidding.
Yeah.
And they did ask for a loan, and I have proof of it. And Rich Lamb was not in the meeting, and I can show you they did. And so and it's not that he's calling Rich Lamb a liar. It's that he really doesn't know or wasn't told fully what really happened in the meeting. So Stephen is going to join us after 8 today to kind of unravel what happened in that meeting with he and John Atkins. There were 2 commissioners in the meeting, and what the request was. And then there were some emails exchanged between Mr. Jackson and Mr. Lamb. And then I got a call from a former finance director at Scyport.
What?
Who talked about how...
A call?
Yeah. Called our front desk and wanted to talk and sent me some emails about lots of financial documents about Scyport, and I'm just uncovering all of it. But there's a lot of stuff.
Have you gone through those? Because you sent them to me, and it just made my head explode.
Not yet. It's my project today to go through those and unravel what can I share.
This one's on you, kid. There's lots of graphs and charts, and I don't do those well.
And there were some concerns expressed about, was the Scyport board really doing their job?
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, literally correct. Say, no, you weren't listening close enough.
Okay.
From our chat yesterday, our half-hour little get-together with Rich Lamb, is it fair to take away from that the major point of what he said? And the headline in our post was, Scyport Board Director explains what went wrong. Was to sum it up, is what Mr. Rich told us yesterday, was it that the information being given to the financial consultant from the people on the ground, so to speak, at Scyport, was the information they were giving the financial consultants who were delivering the financial information to the board not accurate? Is that fair?
What I would say is that it didn't tell the full story. But if you talk to some of the financial insiders at Scyport, they'll say it really did if you bothered to read it. If you bothered to open it up and delve into it. And there's accusations that some board members didn't do that. That there were many board meetings where they didn't have a quorum. So you couldn't vote. You couldn't act on anything. A lot of accusations are now flying, and it's becoming way more than I thought it ever would.
Really?
Yeah, it's becoming way more than I thought it would. It really is.
Cattle Commissioner Stephen Jackson joins us just after 8 o'clock. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, Your Money Now, and Fletcher and Sports coming up in just seconds on KEEL. $7:49 KEEL traffic. Here's Brandon.
Shreveport, Bossier City area, but if you see something slowing traffic down, let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Right now, 67 degrees, rain on the way. 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. It is time for Your Money Now. Good morning. It's 8 away from 8 o'clock. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Sports time.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Villanova won their third men's NCAA basketball championship with a 79-62 throttling of Michigan in the Alamo Dome Monday night. The Wildcats tore through the tournament, winning by an average of 17 points and by double digits in each of their 6 wins. Last night, Dante DiVincenzo came off the bench to lead Nova with 31 points, spearheading a first-half takeover with 12 points and finishing off the Wolverines with a 19-point barrage in the second stanza. Oakland beat Texas for the 9th straight time in the Coliseum after spoiling Bartolo Colon's Ranger debut with a 3-1 win last night. The oldest player in the big leagues gave up just 1 run on 7 hits and 6 innings of work. Kevin Jepsen suffered the loss for Texas after giving up Jed Lowry's 2-run double in the 7th. And the Astros raised their World Series championship banner in front of a sellout crowd and then turned in a dominant performance in a 6-1 win over Baltimore. Charlie Morton threw 6 shutout innings to earn the win. George Springer led off the game with a double and scored on Alex Bregman's 2-bagger to give the folks a good reason to start partying early. Marwin Gonzalez hit his first homer of the season, and Derek Fisher tripled in a run and scored in a 3-run fourth. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
You know how to tell if somebody's serious about their work? Look at their feet. If
When I was 17.
Oh, stop it. You can't sing your version.
I had, no. What I'm saying is it's the argument we had about this song yesterday. 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, just that I said it's one of my least favorite songs.
You're such an idiot.
It's just, no, it's about a guy who's...
It's a great romantic love song.
I don't know what song you're listening to. I'm going to have you read the lyrics. If we have time in the 8 o'clock hour, I'm going to have you read the lyrics to Frank Sinatra's It Was a Very Good Year. And you say it's a romantic song. I say it's a guy who's like my age, who's looking back on his life going, man, you know, I've had a pretty good life because I got laid a lot. That's basically what the song is about, which is why I don't like it.
You're such an idiot.
Cattle Commissioner Stephen Jackson just past 8 o'clock. He is at odds with some of these statements made yesterday by Rich Lamb, who is the Cyport the chairman, board of directors, chairman of the board. That is Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board, and the future of that only partially opened museum. I'm turn off the mics a second. Excuse us just a second. So you agree with what I...
Oh, absolutely.
Can I say that?
Sure you can.
There's way more to this than anybody.
Oh, way more.
There's way more to this.
Way more.
Okay. So Commissioner Jackson joins us just after 8 o'clock. Also at about 8:40, Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket, if you don't know about Kraft Hockeyville.
Muskie!
And the $150,000 Kraft Foods giveaway. George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum is one of the 4 national finalists for a $150,000 giveaway.
It's amazing.
Let me say this again. To win $150,000 towards renovation. Man. They know what they want to spend it on.
Oh, really? I want to hear what he says.
I'll tell you off the radio. If Muskie wants to tell us that, fine. That's fine. But it's $150,000 to doll up the Hirsch for not only hockey, but also a lot of upcoming events.
Cool.
7:57 Keel time. Here's Hannity.
Waking up on the right side. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
All right, so the major Democratic congressional scandal that the Destroy Trump mainstream media refuses to cover, it just keeps getting bigger. Luke Rosiak of the Daily Caller, he's been breaking stories about the Pakistani House IT aide Imran Awan and his family. Now, Awan was arrested for bank fraud in 2017 while he was fleeing the country, and he and members of his family were paid more than $4 million by Congress since 2009, and House investigators say they had, quote, unauthorized access to congressional data. Well, now Rosiak is reporting that all 44 Democrats who hired Awan waived background checks on the IT worker and his family. If this story was about 44 Republican congressmen, we'd be getting nonstop, 24/7, breathless, hysterical coverage from your mainstream media.
From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, it's the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings for many reasons. Now, Marlene from Ohio writes, Blinds.com is by far the most customer-friendly company. The blinds were simple to install, they look beautiful, and the quality is excellent. I highly recommend it. Just go to Blinds.com to find the perfect blinds, shades, shutters, and drapes. Now through April the 3rd, when you buy one, you get one at 50% off at Blinds.com/Hannity. That's Blinds.com/Hannity. Rules, restrictions apply.
Mesothelioma kills. It has taken lives, destroyed families, and ruined childhoods. We need to take action immediately. The Mesothelioma Patient Registry Act of 2017 would create a patient registry for researchers. Cancer and ALS have it. Meso researchers need it too. We need to find a cure for this devastating disease. For more information on this bipartisan bill, visit iSaveTeam.org. That's iSaveTeam.org.
After a minor accident early this morning at Mansfield and Claiborne, it looks like most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But if you see something slowing traffic down, let us know about it on our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. It's 8:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel down yonder. Miss Erin getting the local news ready. What you got?
What's that green slime at the duck pond? We'll tell you more about that.
Wow.
Do your friends ask you that?
No, never.
I do all the time,
Well,
just like that.
I'm getting older.
A couple of big companies could be bringing jobs to Bossier City. We'll talk about that, too. And a local police officer on paid leave.
Let's see. Cattle Commissioner Stephen Jackson and Cyport. He wants to talk about that, those emails that are flying around.
Mm-hmm.
And Mudbug's general manager talks Kraft, Hockeyville, and $150,000 in possible renovations for George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum in about 35 minutes. Traffic and weather and Fletcher and sports, and it's all coming up this hour, and it's on Keel.
FM and 710 Keel. Your Keel cash code word is...
Your Keel cash code word is fun, okay? Remember that, because it'll give you a chance to win $5,000. Once again, for today, Tuesday, your Keel cash code word is fun.
Log on now, keelnews.com, and find out if you're a winner. Keelnews.com. Keelnews.com. The power of information. Keel News now.
Problems at the duck pond. We get more from Reuben Wright.
Spring is here, and unfortunately for East Kings Highway Park, that means a form of algae called duckweed is clogging the system at the duck pond. City Councilman Oliver Jenkins is working to fix the problem by aerating, lighting, and adding fountains to keep the water moving. The city has already added aerating machines to one side of the pond and say that it's working well. They've already spent $55,000 to fix the problem, and contractors say it could cost upwards of $135,000 to finish. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Reuben Wright.
Two big companies bringing more work to town. The Bossier Council has voted to sell land in Bossier's Industrial Park. Hydroline and Axis Construction will bring dozens of jobs to the area, some of those jobs paying more than $50,000 a year. David Rocket, president of the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation, helped coordinate the sale. Fort Worth, Texas meat packers having to recall several items packaged at their facility March 23rd and 24th. The items on the list: beef flank steak for fajitas, beef skirt diced for tacos, and USDA choice Angus beef. The items were packaged without USDA inspection and shipped to 9 states, including Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas. Shreveport Police Department placing Officer Jessica Talley on departmental leave. Chief Alan Crump placed Talley on paid leave for possible policy violations. Talley was hired by the department in 2016. Cyport leaders are not asking the parish for a $2 million loan, but the local Children's Hands-On Museum is facing an uphill financial battle. We asked board chairman Rich Lamb what went wrong.
These weren't people that took money to go buy jet skis or go on trips to Hawaii. Essentially, and this sounds a little harsh, but their hearts were bigger than their brains. You know, they were so passionate about what they were doing, they made some bad financial decisions.
The pop section of Cyport is back open, and the IMAX Theater opens back up on Friday. David Deberodny facing more federal charges after failing to reach a plea agreement with prosecutors. Deberodny facing 8 additional charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, and making false statements to the banks. A gun control bill to be heard in committee. It would raise the minimum purchasing age for assault weapons to 21. New Orleans Senator Troy Carter calls himself a gun enthusiast, but says his legislation is one step forward in curbing gun violence.
Some indicate this would just be a fraction of the problem corrected. I'll take that fraction because that fraction means my son, your daughter, and some other kids out there may survive the threat of some deranged person.
Carter says the legislation would level the legal playing field between assault weapons and handguns and does not infringe on gun rights. Expect some severe weather across much of the state. Climatologist Barry Kime says some of the strongest weather could be seen in the northern part.
Now, rain potential is anywhere from about a half inch to a little over an inch for the northern parishes of Louisiana. Now, severe weather is also possible with strong thunderstorm winds, the most likely threat, with some possibility of hail and tornadoes.
Kime says the entire state is under a risk of tornadoes. A group rallying for justice in the Alton Sterling case, they held the rally at the office of the state attorney general. Villanova dominates the NCAA tournament with a 79-62 win over Michigan for their second championship in 3 years.
Oh, it's amazing. Only 4 universities have done this in the last, how many decades? It's amazing. The admissions to this university just skyrocketed. Let's go, Nova.
Tim Sweeney is a 2018 Villanova senior.
Ten past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel traffic time. Here's Brandon.
Other than a minor accident at Walker Road and Mackey Lane, most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area at this time. If that changes, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes,
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. That KEEL app is a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Joining us for a little bit is Cattle Commissioner Stephen Jackson. It's been a while. Hey, Mr. Stephen, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Yes, it's been a while. Thanks for reaching out to me.
Let's start with yesterday morning in this very studio. We had the president, the chairman. There we go. The chairman of the Cyport Board of Directors, Mr. Rich Lamb. And you listened to that, and there were one or two things with which you disagreed. Where would you like to begin?
Well, I had an opportunity to listen to the clip that he did, and Rich was not at the meeting. I want to address him. He was not at the meeting, so it's kind of hard for me to sit back and listen to someone give an account of a meeting who wasn't in attendance. He wasn't there physically, nor was he there remotely. And so to try to give an assessment of what was a serious ask to come back and say, the folks who were there, they were serious, that conversation. No, it was a very serious conversation.
Did they ask for a $2 million loan from the parish?
They asked us to consider, would the parish be willing to consider a $2 million loan to restructure the Cyport debt.
And you're talking about Cyport board members asked you that.
I assume that this Linda Bernanke is a Cyport board member. I'm told my notes show that Tim Magner is not. He was there representing the quote-unquote business community. There was a staff member who was there. I think he's over program. His name is Alan Brown from my notes. And then there was a guy from CSRA that was in that meeting.
Couldn't this be just a simple misunderstanding? And even if it's not, why does it matter to you?
Well, I take issue with public comments because I did ask Mr. Lamb a line of questions. And like I said, I'm not sure that there can be a misunderstanding from someone who wasn't there. To just write it off as a simple, Stephen or Commissioner Jackson is blowing this out of proportion. No, there wasn't an ask for $2 million, whether it was a hard ask or not. There was consideration for public dollars to be used for a private entity. Cyport is a wholly private entity. They operate out of a public space, which is the city of Shreveport space, not the parish of Caddo. So we even went into that. The other issue that I took with these comments is that all of a sudden the mission of the meeting or the purpose of the meeting has changed to, we were just here to talk about Cyport's grant. That came up at the very end of the conversation, was like, by the way, your grant was not in compliance, or there may be some issues with your grant application.
Now, you and Mr. Lamb have exchanged emails since, which you shared with us. You were concerned about hearing his comments, and the purpose and intent of the meeting came up as well. Have y'all had a meeting of the minds yet? I mean, have the two of you talked since these emails were exchanged?
Well, I would just say that, I appreciate Rich Lamb, and I appreciate all of the Cyport board members for giving their time, their effort, and energy to work with Cyport on whatever issues they're having. So, I don't see that there being any conflict. I just, when I see it one time, okay, but when I see it 2 or 3 times being repeated in the media, that, there was no ask for $2 million, or that wasn't a serious ask for $2 million. We just, were just brainstorming, or we weren't even there to talk about $2 million. We were there to talk about the Cyport grant. No, this meeting was about $2 million. So, my goal is to set the record straight, because I'm a public official, and when folks come up to me saying, "Hey, why are you trying to spend $2 million on Cyport when y'all need to be spending funds and revenue and resources over here?" So I just want to be, for me, I like the record to be clear. I have nothing against Mr. Lamb or any of the Cyport board members.
Your email ends with this, and I'm quoting, "The public facts, however, need to be truthful and consistent."
Absolutely.
You seem to say that somebody's lying to somebody here.
Well, I from what it sounds like, is there's a message to the public that everything is going well, everything is fine, but when you get to a meeting, it's we need help. And nothing wrong with asking for help. I think this is how we got to where we are now. With there was a perception, and we all know it. There was a perception that everything was going well, even with the deal with Planet Aqua. There was a perception that everything was going well, and then all of a sudden, things went to the left or to the right, not on the straight and forward path. So I don't think all of the details have to be divulged. I just think that the conversation needs to be consistent. The conversation needs to be honest. And if there are issues, put them out there. Don't come to the parish or to the city saying one thing and then going back out to the public saying, oh, no, everything is just fine. We see too many examples as a public official.
Mr. Stephen,
do you have many examples of that?
Pardon me. Do you as a cattle commissioner, or do other commissioners, based on meetings with Cyport folks, or with just talking with other public officials or people who might have been involved, do you have a sense? Do you, Stephen Jackson, have a sense of what went wrong at Cyport, or is it something that the Cattle Commission doesn't really want to get into?
Well, I don't think it's something, and I'll answer that two ways. I don't think it's something that the Cattle Parish Commission is trying to get intimately involved with. We are very concerned about the $60,000 that we have put into Cyport over the last 20 years, which comes up to somewhere in the ballpark of $1.5 million to almost $2 million over 20 years. So we're concerned about that aspect of it. But we also want to make sure that whatever the issues are with Cyport, that they get resolved by the Cyport board or the Cyport staff and management. Our job is not to go and fix the problems that someone else created.
When it comes time to write that next $60,000 check, or would you be in favor of saying, let's post-date this a little bit?
What I would like to see is I would like to see Cyport be on a sustainable track. What we would like to see all of our NGOs, not just Cyport, is to be able to say, here's a set of funding for a set period of time. We like to, because what we are now looking at is cycling people out of our funding cycle because those dollars are starting to diminish. And so, we've given Cyport $60,000 for the last 20 years now. At some point, there should be some self-sustainability, some self-sufficiency there, and we are not seeing that. So I would have some unreadiness if we are still at the level, or if things still seem the same.
The Cyport debt, he would not share specifics about us. Mr. Lamb, I refer to you as a commissioner, because you're a public official. Are you privy to that information? How deep in debt is Cyport? And if they are so deep in debt, why throw more money at it?
Well, and that was one of the questions. If you go back to the meeting, that was one of the questions that I was trying to drill down to. Exactly what are your debts? And I think you saw a couple of other commissioners try to drill down what exactly is Cyport's debt. No one really knows. And so, again, we're being asked to hypothetically, possibly, soft ask, as they put it, to consider something that we don't have facts about. And so when you go to the bank and ask for a loan, the bank wants to know everything.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to know hypotheticals. They don't, we'll tell you this but not tell you that. They want to know it all. And so I just want the Cyport board to know that I'm rooting for their success. I'm praying for their success. I'm not out here advocating for failure. But I would like to know everything that is out there. If you're coming to ask the public to put their resources into it, we require that of everyone.
Stephen, we only got about 30 seconds left. You running for mayor?
Well, I'm still having conversations. I had a great couple of meet and greets around town, and going to have a couple more in the next coming weeks. So I'll send a decision to be forthcoming, definitely with prayer. So I haven't made my mind up one way or the other.
Make your decision fast. Erin's thinking about getting in. Just kidding.
Well,
no, she's not.
I think it wouldn't be surprising.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
22 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic update. Right now, here's Ruben.
So far this morning, it looks like clear conditions on the roadways in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. But that could change in an instant. If you see something, make sure you let us know on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy. breezy and humid today. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging winds, high 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Every business needs great people, and a better way to find them. Something better than posting your job online and just praying for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, so they built a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies
.117 FM, 710 Keel. Time for sports. Here's Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Villanova won their third men's NCAA basketball championship with a 79-62 throttling of Michigan in the Alamo Dome Monday night. The Wildcats tore through the tournament, winning by an average of 17 points and by double digits in each of their 6 wins. Last night, Dante DiVincenzo came off the bench to lead Nova with 31 points, spearheading a first-half takeover with 12 points and finishing off the Wolverines with a 19-point barrage in the second stanza. Oakland beat Texas for the 9th straight time in the Coliseum after spoiling Bartolo Colon's Ranger debut with a 3-1 win last night. The oldest player in the big leagues gave up just 1 run on 7 hits and 6 innings of work. Kevin Jepson suffered the loss for Texas after giving up Jed Lowry's 2-run double in the 7th. And the Astros raised their World Series championship banner in front of a sellout crowd and then turned in a dominant performance in a 6-1 win over Baltimore. Charlie Morton threw 6 shutout innings to earn the win. George Springer led off the game with a double and scored on Alex Bregman's 2-bagger to give the folks a good reason to start partying early. Marwin Gonzalez hit his first homer of the season, and Derek Fisher tripled in a run and scored in a 3-run fourth. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
If you ever want to buy a house or a car, you're going to want to know your credit score. If there's a mistake on your credit reports, you could pay more in interest rates and fees than you have to. Where can you go online to quickly get your credit score and credit report for free? CreditKarma.com.
Twenty-six past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. I don't remember if we discussed this rapidly in the 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock hour yesterday. And it was just, I don't want to say a throwaway because it deserves a long segment one morning.
Of course.
But I had mentioned to you that a former teacher had said to me about education, about public education, not only Louisiana public, not only Caddo or Bossier or Louisiana public education, but the public education system in the United States.
Yes.
And this former teacher said to me that we are at a point because of government control, because of the bureaucracy at every level, at local, at state, but more specifically, more than anything else, at federal, that we're really, a couple of points. One, that we're really not public schools anymore. We're really government-run schools. And this former teacher said to me that the only hope, and I'm bringing this up because I got a response from Troy Jones, our IT guy. We were talking about that. He had heard that segment and just commented to me. And when I tell you what he said, it's absolutely brilliant. And what the teacher said to me was the former teacher said the only hope for public schools in America, the only hope for the education of American kids is that the system implodes and that we have to go back to almost a Little House on the Prairie type local-based school system. And then I sort of said what you said, and I mentioned all the government and just everything that was involved, and he said, "No, it's already happening." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "What's next door?" And I said, "State Farm." He said, "No, Chowderhead, Learning RX."
Oh, yeah.
He said, "That is how the American education," he says, "this is at the very lowest, the way the American, at the very lowest level, the way the American education system is evolving is that bit by bit, step by step, slowly I turn, is that this is the future of education, is that the system isn't working for so many people and they are looking for an outside source, a little house on the prairie type schoolroom that sits right across the driveway.
But everybody can't afford that.
29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL traffic update coming up right now. Here's Brandon.
Conditions on the roadways in the Shreveport-Bossier City area, but that could change in an instant. If you see something, make sure you let us know on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds, high 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
If you ever want to buy a house,
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Some good news for travel in our region. Lawmakers agree to a $600 million borrowing plan to finance 3 interstate projects aimed at alleviating traffic snarls and boosting economic development efforts. One of those projects is the I-20 interchange to get to Barksdale. It's springtime, and at the duck pond, it means a form of algae has been forming all along the water. Councilman Oliver Jenkins has been working to fix the problem. The city's been aerating, lighting, and adding fountains to keep the water moving. The city's already spent $55,000 on the problem, and it could cost more than $135,000. 2 big companies bringing more work to our area. Reuben Wright with more.
The Bossier City Council voted Tuesday to sell land in Bossier's Industrial Park. Hydroline and Axis Construction will be bringing dozens of jobs to the area, with some paying upwards of $50,000 a year. David Rockett, the president of the Greater Bossier Economic Development Foundation, helped coordinate the sale. For 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Reuben Wright.
Shreveport Police Department placing Officer Jessica Talley on departmental leave. The chief placed Talley on paid leave for possible policy violations. David Deberodny facing more federal charges after failing to reach a plea agreement with prosecutors. Deberodny facing 8 additional charges, including money laundering, wire fraud, and making false statements to the bank. A gun control bill to be heard in committee today. It would raise the minimum purchasing age for assault weapons to 21. New Orleans Senator Troy Carter.
Under current law, an 18-year-old cannot purchase a handgun. That's current law. So that's not an infringement of the constitutional rights. Certainly bringing it in line with an assault weapon is not either.
But Louisiana Shooting Association lobbyist Wade Duty says the bills are flawed because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes an assault weapon.
The problem, as they say, is the devil's in the details, and trying to define a particular group of firearms as an assault weapon gets pretty sticky pretty quick.
He says gun manufacturers can easily bypass restrictions by subtly modifying their products in ways that are easy to undo. A group rallying for justice in the Alton Sterling case, they held a protest in front of Attorney General Jeff Landry's office. State Director of the NAACP, Michael McClanahan, says they're peacefully protesting, but hope that Landry comes out and speaks with them so they can urge him to reverse his decision. They're currently at the office during the lunch hour, but McClanahan expects the groups to get larger and remain camped out for longer stints.
At some point in time, we'll not only be there at lunchtime, but we'll be there from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're going to swell to where we'll be able to occupy at all times that building in the ground.
So far, no comment from Landry's office. A bill that calls for a statewide referendum to legalize sports betting will be heard in a Senate committee today. Metairie Senator Daniel Martini says the argument against his legislation is that it expands gambling, but it can help generate a stable source of revenue for the state.
While they're against gaming themselves, if somebody else wants to participate in that and it raises tax revenue that they don't end up having to pay, they're okay with it. They don't want to raise the sales tax, and we still got $1 billion deficit.
Elections could be held in November if the bills pass. SpaceX launching another rocket to the International Space Station from Cape Canaveral.
3, 2, 1, and 0. And a liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft, packed with science and supplies for the International Space Station, humanity's home in low Earth orbit. And the Falcon 9 has cleared the tower.
The rocket carrying supplies and science experiments to reach the ISS on Wednesday. Villanova Wildcats head coach Jay Wright, the 8th coach to win 2 titles in a 3-year span in the history of NCAA basketball. After the game, he reflects on that achievement.
It's amazing. I'm just really blessed. I really feel God's blessed me to allow me to be at Villanova, get these kids, coach these kids. I'm much more comfortable.
Audio provided by the Westwood One Radio Network. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
So the poll will go up later today, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin. Poll will go up at the website, keelnews.com, about sports gambling in Louisiana. Would you be in favor of it or against?
Yeah.
And if you were going to vote right now, you'd vote in favor.
Yeah.
Matt would probably be in favor. I would be against, not on a specifically moral grounds, but more like it's an industry that produces no new money. It just shifts money around. It takes money away from Louisiana people and sends it to Baton Rouge. And so it'll be up later, and you can vote, and I urge you vote no.
Congratulations today to Corporal Christian Hicks with the Shreveport Police Department, named our top cop for April, our very first
number one, right?
Yes,
okay.
I'm excited. Christian does so much on his off time, during his job. He does things that just police officers. You know, you just don't hear about
He's
these
kind of
cool things.
like old school, like in the old days.
He really,
the guys who walked
yeah.
the beat, who knew all the kids, who knew all the people in their community. Tell us more about what he will receive. Is he coming in to visit? And if anybody hasn't gone to the website to nominate their own favorite officer.
You can do it at KEELnews.com right there on the top bar. It says top cop if you want to nominate a police officer, a trooper, a deputy.
Is he coming in soon?
We're going to have Christian in. We're working on the logistics of his shift and when we can get him in. And we're going to present him with a nice little gift.
Hey, if he's working from 6 till 9 in the morning, we'll move the show.
You bet.
839, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Mudbugs General Manager Scott Muscat joins us in just a couple of seconds. The Mudbugs, no, that is incorrect. George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum, one of the 4 finalists in the national contest known as Kraft Hockeyville.
Woohoo!
First prize is a $150,000. Think about this now. A check for $150,000 for building renovation.
That is so cool.
He will bring us up to date. The Media Blitz, as he put it over the weekend, has begun. Right now, traffic update. Brandon is here on Keel.
Other than a minor accident at Walker Road and Mackey Lane, most roadways are clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area at this time. If that changes, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Breezy and humid today with clouds. A strong afternoon or evening thunderstorm can bring flooding downpours, large hail, and damaging winds. High 79. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zaire.
Have you ever spent
God. 842, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. It's 1017 FM, 710 Keel. That Keel app, never forget. It's a free download from Office Furniture Source. Scott Muscat is the Shreveport Mudbugs general manager, but that's kind of why he's here. Hey, Muskie, how are you this morning?
I'm good, my friend. How are you this morning?
The Media Blitz has begun. I was going to say the Mudbugs, but that is not the case. The arena that sits on the state fairgrounds, now known as George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum, is now one of the 4 national finalists for $150,000 in renovation cash to be presented by Kraft Foods. The website is krafthockeyville.com, but there's way more. Tell us about it.
Well, it's also, to me, the best part is, well, I shouldn't say that. The best part is that George's dream and Shreveport's, Shreveport's pride has the opportunity to win $150,000 and be recognized on a national stage, which is very cool.
Muskie, pardon me just a second, but there are a lot of folks listening who don't know about George Klucher, who don't know how he was, who he was, how the name George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum came to be. We have time. Tell everybody that story quickly.
Well, George was a young hockey player who really was beyond his years. He was a leader at 11 years of age. He traveled around North America playing goal for different teams who asked him to go play. And to tell you how crazy his impact was, I had a lady come up to me the other day and say, "I thought George Klucher was the young boy that died." And I said, he was. And she said, "Oh, by the way, everybody's talking about him. I thought he must have been in his 40s. And that's exactly what kind of impact George had. He had a vision, not just for hockey, but for a whole city to get behind something that got behind him. And he wanted people to understand the passion and the give back that hockey gave him. George tragically passed away at 12 years of age, and when his dad called me to tell me what had happened, I told him then and told the owners then that, listen, we have got to make this kid's dream become a reality. We need to name a building George's Pond, and I think actually it was at the time it was the George Klucher Arena, but that got changed to George's Pond, and now everybody calls it the George. But he was just a young man beyond his years and had a vision that we have all brought to the forefront, and now his vision is not being shared by just people in Shreveport, but his vision was on national television Saturday in the middle of the Boston Bruins Philadelphia Flyers game.
Yeah.
And I had people from Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, British Columbia calling me up saying, "Muskie, you guys' building is on the," and it's just it's a very cool thing that one boy's dream has now become something that an entire community can rally around.
Love how you say Nova Scotia, but let me ask you this:
like a vampire? No, he doesn't talk like a vampire.
Just kidding. What you're pretend like you're not on the radio. We're just you and me are sitting out having a glass of wine. What are you going to use the $150,000 for?
Well, it's crazy because there's so many things that still need to be done. If it's you and me having a glass of wine, I'd tell you we've put a lot of lipstick on this pig, and we need to put a lot more. And that's but the reality is what was once the pig is now
almost a stallion.
I just love it. I love this girl. I love what George's Pond has become, and we can take that $150,000 and it's so easy to upgrade locker rooms, HVAC and air. One of the things that I want to be able to do is I have a list of about 75 season ticket holders who said the minute that you can add heat to that building, I'm buying my tickets. So I want to add heat to the building. We got to take care of the humidity problem. As I said, locker rooms need to be fixed. There's concrete around here that needs to be redone. We need lights outside of the building to light up George's Pond so that you can see it as you're driving down I-20 for 15 miles. Those are all things that we really, really need to continue to, we try to do the little things along the way to make it go, but $150,000 would really help. And in the end, the biggest part of this whole thing is hosting that NHL game. That would put us again on that national stage, letting people see, man, Shreveport is hockey crazy. Shreveport is Shreveport crazy. Look what these guys have done to support this building. Look what these guys have done to support this team. Look what these guys have done to support each other. Mm-hmm. And that, to me, is the most exciting part of all.
We are very early in your media blitz, as we're going to call it. The voting is a single day. The 4 finalists, whoever gets the most votes over like a 24-hour period, tell us about the day and the website and everything we have to start gearing up for.
So the voting begins midnight, right? Midnight of the 12th or 12:01 Thursday morning or Friday morning. I'm sorry, the 13th, and it goes until noon on Saturday. And at 3 o'clock during the hockey game, they're going to announce who the winner is. So vote all day Friday, vote Saturday until noon. We're going to have some very special guests who are going to be encouraging you to vote. Some nationally recognized celebrities are going to be telling you to vote for George's Pond. We're excited about that.
Who? Can you give us a hint?
I can give you a little bit of a hint, but I don't want to spoil it. So I'm like you guys always do to me. I'm going to tease you and tell you that there's some very big names and some very big programs who understand what George wanted for the city of Shreveport, and they're going to step up and speak up on his behalf as it pertains to craft hockey. Bill, we want this thing. We want it bad.
Scott, thank you so much. Up against the clock. We look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Like once every 2 or 3 days, top-of-mind awareness is the key. Muskie, thank you very much as always.
Thanks, guys.
849, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Let me take a deep breath. Increasing clouds and a chance of rain, possibly heavy at times. A cold front is headed our way. Temps tonight, heavy rain and temps dropping into possibly the upper 50s. Hey there, Robert and Erin, once again for Twin City Appliance, online at twincityappliance.com. This is something about Twin City Appliance that we have never, ever really talked about before.
Okay.
And it's important, But for people, let me speak bluntly, of our age, it's not something that really crosses our mind a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yet for younger people, well, I'll just come out and say, because you're going to, oh, yeah, that's right. And to a lot of people, that's not a given anymore. Every one of the techs at Twin City Appliance not only is factory trained, not only is well trained, not only is their training updated on a regular basis, but each of the Twin City Appliance techs is required to pass a background check and a drug screening.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the Twin City techs works a specific area of.
That means the same person comes to your house. You're
You've
not
got
going to
like
see a different person every time.
relationship with them. You know the guy, they get to know you, and it works out. Not only is the work awesome,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like these are real people. What do we say all the time? These are Shreveport and Bossier people. These are Arkla Tejanos. These are Arkla Texans.
Yeah.
Making Shreveport and Bossier City better.
If you've got an appliance that is on the brink, it's shaking, it's acting up, it's making a freaky noise, blah, 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 you can call Twin City Appliance today, 318-688-0253, or check them out online, twincityappliance.com.
.101.7 FM and 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. I asked Muskie about George Klucher because I didn't know if you knew the story.
Yeah, I knew the story, yeah.
That he was a young fella that had passed away. And that was
a little boy.
And in fact,
a hockey enthusiast.
In fact, the official George's Pond at Hirsch Coliseum attendance is 3434 in George's honor.
Oh, wow. Cool. That's very cool.
Because that was his hockey number.
Man, we got to win this. We got to win this Hockeyville Award. Don't forget the date, April 13th.
36 hours of voting starting
Can
at midnight.
Can we vote more than once?
You know, I don't know the specifics right now. I would tend to think not.
I'm just hoping I can vote over and over and over again.
But Muskie sort of let me in on a couple of their marketing plans, and look, he didn't want to get into it, but it does involve some very, very big people in very, very big markets.
Ooh,
that's all I'm going to tell you. Back tomorrow morning, 6 till 9, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. In the meantime, oh yeah, Mr. Moon is on the way. But right now, here's Kim Commando.
1017 FM and 710 Keel.
Hey, this is Tom Gresham, host of Gun Talk. It's always fun to get together with Robert and Erin in the morning to talk about the issues of the day. Be sure to join us every time we get together here, and also for Gun Talk on Sunday.
We are Keel. 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
Look for a traffic slowdown due to an abandoned vehicle near Clyde Fant Parkway Service Road and Caribbean Cove, as well as minor accidents near Highland Avenue and 6th Street, and once again Mansfield Road and Terry Bradshaw Passway. Besides that, traffic looks clear in the Shreveport-Bossier City area. If you see an issue, make sure you let us know. Call us on the Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Good morning. It's 8:59, 1017 FM, 710 Keel, your AccuWeather.com forecast. Increasing clouds and windy and a chance of rain heavy at times later today.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.